my papi. The orange money thing number 4. Anything you want, you can just get a check like this.
And guess what?
What?
Even my school fee, that is see orange money. That is see umpa, that is see anytime I see go up, I just pay the piao. Come on,
Piki.
you and your owner power, you're always late. Yes, you're always late. With the orange money song, it can explain anything that orange money can do for us.
Orange money get song.
You come and listen to it. Anything for that matter that you come and see.
Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash.
Orange money, my life simple. Simple for my people. Orange money on my sinker. It got me feeling first class. Oh. With orange money, I can send money to my buying ganta. With orange money, I can send money to my mind loafer. Just that star 144 hash. Follow the instruction and do what you want. Just that star 144 hash. Follow the instruction and do what you want. If you want pay for LEC or pay a school fee, brother, you can use orange.
It's great to be here this morning. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your location, and welcome to this presentation of the KMTV Morning Show. We apologize for coming on late this morning. There were too many challenges, but bless God that we are here this morning to discuss those issues that matter. This morning, there are lots of things that we are to talk about within the journalistic area. We're going to be playing host to a team from the Association of Journalists in the Americas, and they will join us this morning. The president, Mr. Joe Menson, and the chairman of the convention. As you are aware, or if you are not aware, the Association of Journalists in the Americas are having their 7th annual convention, and this convention has lots of activities embedded within, and we're going to be looking at it as well. We will be looking at their own participation back to Liberia. We're also going to be diving into other issues as they are ongoing with their convention. The convention started on yesterday, the 23rd of September 2021. It's expected to end on the 26th of September 2021. My name is AMOS Thomas Momo. We're going to be right here switching and driving you up to 11 o'clock. We came on a bit late, but probably we're going to adjust ourselves with some of the things we had to talk about up to 11 this morning. We have Mr. Joe Menson. He's the president of the Association of Journalists in the Americas. He will be joining us as we go about talking about the convention and other activities. We also have the chairperson of the convention, Mr. Peters Massaquoi. He will join us as well right here on the platform. We'll be discussing all of those issues surrounding the convention, the 7th annual convention. Embedding the convention, we have elections. I don't know how many positions they are going to election for, but they will be telling us here. We'll be discussing as to whether they are fee attached to participating in the election. We'll look at that as well, and other activities. I understand that they'll be having a rally, they will be having a meet and greet, we'll be having sports as well, and we'll be looking at other issues as it relates to journalists in the Americas and back to Liberia. This morning we have, like I said, Mr. Joe Menson as our guest. He's the president, and the chairman of the convention, Mr. Peter Massaquoi, is our guest this morning, and we'll be talking issues surrounding the convention. Mr. Menson, good morning, and Mr. Massaquoi, how you doing?
Morning, show team.
How you doing, sir?
Good morning. I'm okay.
Oh, Mr. Massaquoi, thanks for joining us. We'll start talking until Mr. Menson can join us. How's life going on?
That was okay. Just for the COVID-19 pandemic, we are all doing okay. We are grateful to God for giving us the opportunity to see each and every day, every minute.
Okay. All right. As we await Mr. Manson to join us this morning, um, you are the chairman of the convention. You started on yesterday, the 23rd of September. How's the convention going?
Well, the convention is going pretty well. It's a weekend loaded activities. Like you mentioned earlier on, we started yesterday. At which time majority of our colleagues, our guests who flew in from outside the United States, uh, started arriving already. We have Ambassador ALJA from Paris, France. He's already here in the U.S. We have People Besa who flew in from Minnesota. He is the national vice president currently.
Okay.
The national president, Joe Mason, is also in town. He flew in, by the way, late Wednesday night. Um, we have Cyrus Miguel. He is the current national assistant secretary general. He also flew in last night. We have several of our colleagues who also flew into from Ohio and in other part of the United States. So it's all geared toward building momentum as we prepare for the official kickoff today, the 24th.
Wow, that sounds very great. Is Mr. Manson back now? Rinsford, just let me know if he comes back. So, you are the chairman. Tell us how many positions, or tell us those activities surrounding the convention firstly.
Well, first of all, this is on the team, the quest for an and sustainable and ethical in Liberia. Um, like I mentioned, we have a week-long load of activities. So we have the Herbal Media Training um, that was at about 9 a.m. here in the U.S. and 1 p.m. in Liberia. We have over 50 Liberian journalists from Monrovia will be participating in this training program via social media. You know, it's kind of sad for us in ALJA family to do away with our normal tradition. Every year we invite to a session of Liberian journalists from Liberia that will come to the United States to participate in this event and also benefit from shared knowledge exchange program from other vibrant media institutions. But because of the we have limitation this year. So the national leadership ALJA decided to take the convention to them despite their inability to come to the US. So our colleagues will gather at a center on Kerry Street, at which time they will be able to benefit from this training via the social media. Um, After the media training this morning, I mean this afternoon in the US, uh, some of ALJA delegation will be heading down to Atlantic City. Atlantic City is one of the commercial capital of New Jersey. It's where all the funds lies. We have major activities. So we will be doing sightseeing. Like I mentioned, every year our tradition, wherever we go, we see that's an opportunity to visit or tour media institution wherein we have exchange knowledge as to how they operate. We look at the new technology they use and we share ideas uh, for future development. But this year is different. Everywhere we book, um, there's no physical tour because of the COVID pandemic, the COVID restriction, especially with the resurfacing of the Delta variant. So we had no option but to just go to one of the beautiful cities in New Jersey just for sightseeing and for our colleagues to be able to know and see the other part of the state and another part of America. After that, we will be arriving back to Trenton, where we are all here hosting the convention officially. Got my resident for the official meet and greet. That ceremony is expected to start at about 8 p.m. until late morning hours. And then tomorrow, Saturday, is our busy day. We have our business session that will also coincide with our general elections. We have a few positions out for the national president is going on a post. We have the national vice president position. that has been contested by me, Peter Massaquoi, and Dr. Sam Johnson. We have the Secretary General position that's been contested by Akai and also Joey Kennedy. The sitting Secretary General position is still vacant yet. There was no applicants so far to contest. So it's a jump pack of activity. And then later on tomorrow's evening will be our benefit banquet, wherein we'll have series of keynote speakers and we'll also be raising money for our media development fund drive in Liberia. So we'll climax the activity on Sunday with intercessory prayer at a local church here in Trenton, and then followed by our farewell barbecue. So
Wow.
that's the lineup for the weekend, a jam-packed one.
Very, very jam pack weekend activities. Is actually a wonderful, wonderful activities. Now, do you have other journalists from Liberia? Okay, we have just been joined by Mr. Mengson this morning. He's the president of Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, and he just joined us. Chief, thanks so much for joining and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Amos. It's a pleasure to be on. Thanks to the KMTV family for this opportunity to come on and talk about our convention and all the activities we have coming on this weekend. So thank you so much.
All right. Just before we go in depth, maybe you could just sit straight or just okay. All right. I think much better now. How's life going on?
Great. It's a wonderful time to be here in New Jersey, and we're looking forward to a wonderful weather today. Unfortunately, the weather yesterday was not too good. Hopefully, it's better today, so we can get our activities started. But it's a great feeling. It's going to be a wonderful weekend with our members converging here in New Jersey, coming from different parts of these United States and from other world for us to meet, sit, and talk about our association, talk where we are right now, where we've come from, and where we intend to go. So it's going to be a wonderful weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Now, let's look at your administration. During your time, the America was hit badly with COVID. Just give us a brief synopsis about the association so far.
Well, like most other associations, ALJA was impacted as well by COVID. Just after my election in 2019, we were in the process of implementing our vision for the association. Then early in 2020, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, it literally brought everything to a standstill. But while other organizations decided to fold and wait, we thought it was important as an organization to continue to press ahead for those things we wanted to achieve. So even in the midst of COVID, we came together and decided that we wanted to reach out to our colleagues in Liberia who themselves were impacted by COVID. So ALJA members raised money and were able to intervene in a way as far as being able to provide some assistance to our colleagues in Monrovia. Were able to present food and masks and oil, just so we could be able to say to them, we understand the difficulties you guys are going through, because even though we in the United States were COVID, but we're in a much better place because we live in the richest and the greatest country in the world. Many of us here are enormously blessed. So we use this organization as a way of reaching back and giving back to our colleagues in Liberia. So yeah, COVID has impacted us in more ways than one, but even at that, we think it is incumbent upon us to continue to just reach back and make a difference in the lives of our colleagues in Liberia.
All right. Let's look at your time serving the association. Where you took it from? Where are we now? And where you hope to expect in the near future with those leaders or those officials coming on board?
So when I came on board, I was part of the initial group of folks who decided to resuscitate ALJA. Mind you, ALJA as an organization was established in the late 90s, in 1998. But early 2001, the organization crumbled, like most other organizations here due to internal strife. So for 10 years, from 2001 to nearly 2011, 12, 13, the organization lay dormant. And so a group of us who believe in the ideals for which the organization was established came together and said, we need to resuscitate ALJA. So in 2014, early 2015, there was a meeting convention of ALJA members who came together, and we decided at that meeting in Delaware to formally reestablish the organization. Subsequently, in late 2015, there was the first post-crisis convention of ALJA. At that convention, Mr. Moses Sandy, my immediate predecessor, was elected president, and I was elected vice president. So I served as vice president for ALJA for 4 years under Mr. Sandy's presidency. And then in 2019, when we held our convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I became president of the association. So my first tenure ends this weekend in New Jersey, and hopefully my colleagues will see the work I've done and re-elect me as president for the next 2 years.
So you'll be contesting in this election?
I will be. Yes, I'm a candidate. I'm a candidate for this election. Fortunately, I'm running on the polls, so I don't have any contender, which I think is an enormous blessing in itself. But I think it shows the confidence my colleagues have in me. I think it's an appreciation of the work I've done over the last 2 years. Because, mind you, there are a lot of enormously talented men and women in ALJA who are able to steer the ship of this association. So for them to say to me that will allow you to go on the polls for your second tenure, I think speaks volume both of the work we've done and the confidence my colleagues have in me.
So it means that where butter is show.
Yes.
All
And
right.
I'm grateful. I don't take it for granted. I'm grateful and I appreciate the confidence they have in me.
The activities on, like the chairman of the convention was saying, do you have journalists from Liberia coming to the America to form part of the activities? But firstly, what's your relationship with the Association of Liberian Journalists and that of the Americas?
So I don't know if you. So we are the Association of Liberian Journalists. I don't know if you meant this.
I
Our
mean,
relationship with.
those Liberian-based journalists.
We have. So one of the core objective of ALJA is to seek to empower Liberian journalists
Okay.
to work for the empowerment and the capacity building of our colleagues in Liberia. That is one of our core objectives. So when we do plan these activities like the convention we're planning right now, it is playing around achieving our overarching objective, including how are we impacting our colleagues in Liberia, which is why, and I think Peter, our convention chairperson, mentioned earlier on that we will be having, as part of the activities for this weekend's program, we'll be having a hybrid media training. And that hybrid media training is geared towards enhancing the capacity of our colleagues in Liberia, which is why we have a number of journalists get together at the I Center in Carey Street, and they will then link up with us here in the United States, and we'll have professors, veteran journalists, professors from a number of different universities here in the United States, veteran journalists who have worked in the field and are experienced in the field. They will come together to be able to share that knowledge with our colleagues in Liberia. And that activity will be starting here, I would say, in the next 2 hours on the East Coast where we are. So we have a wonderful relationship with the Press Union of Liberia. We understand the PUL is the mother organization of all journalists in the country. And so the PUL president, Mr. Charles Coffey, and I, we communicate regularly. We have a really strong bond, and which is important for ALJA to be able to do the work we need to do in Liberia. That relationship is important, and that is how we're able to do the things we're doing. And hopefully, in the next 2 years, we can continue to do even more. So the short answer to your question is our relationship with our colleagues in Liberia is strong, and we're trying to make it stronger in the next 2 years.
You started your activities with the 7th annual convention of the association on yesterday, the 23rd. Is it meeting up with your expectation?
Well, yeah, yeah. We like Peter mentioned, we had some of our colleagues begin to fly in from different parts of the United States, and some are from Europe. We expect more in today. We have colleagues coming from Saudi Arabia, from the Middle East, and so normally the ALJA convention is the largest gathering of Liberian journalists in the diaspora. Normally, we'll have close to 20, 30 journalists coming from Monrovia to be a part of these activities. Unfortunately, that is not the case this year because of COVID and the restriction the embassy has on issuing visiting visa. But we still expect a significant number of our colleagues from in the United States and other parts of the world to join us this weekend for what promises to be a really great weekend of wonderful camaraderie, just having fun, interacting, but more importantly, getting down to business and beginning to do some serious work that will impact our colleagues in Liberia, continue the advocacy that we as journalists in Liberia continue to work towards, and raise money that hopefully will go towards some of the causes we believe in.
All right. Now let's go to the convention chairperson. What are some of the positions, like we were talking, what are some of the positions that are to be contested for?
Well, fortunately for me, I'm one of the candidates.
Okay.
We have 4 positions open so far.
Your case is the
National-
same as the president. Are you going to work about it?
No. Mine is completely different. I'm not
Okay.
lucky like the national president.
All right.
So we have 2 candidates vying for the national vice president position, Dr. Sam Johnson and Peter Massaquoi. We have the national secretary general position also be contested by 2 vibrant members of our organization, Akai and Joey Kennedy. For now, we do not have any other candidate for the assistant secretary general position. Hopefully, we can suspend our constitution to get something done later on, but that level with the entire team and those heading that particular area. Yeah, but it's all geared towards, like Mr. Mason said, working as a team to help support the Liberian media, to strengthen that relationship. It's not any kind of big political activities where people are being paid or attacking personality. It's all about keeping us connected to share the same vision. Because, our colleagues back home, they are faced with enormous challenges. So it's about time that we work together as a team to help to support them like ALJA has been doing for the past years. So we coming to the table with new ideas just to buttress the effort of the national president and the rest of our organization members to see how best we can harness good working relationship and identify resources for them.
Fine. Good news for us back in Liberia. Do you have fee attached to all of those positions? Maybe you said the assistant secretary pay $1,000 as registration fee and the rest of other positions.
Now, for the national vice president position, it's $50 fees attached that you have to pay. I believe the national president position is $100 something. So we have category based on the position, but it's not anything of. It does not even reach $150. So it's just minimum fee attached.
All right, just minimum fee attached. This is something that I want to ask, Mr. President. Why, like, I think your 6th convention, you brought on Ellis Cummings to serve as guest speaker. I think I'm getting it right. And this 7th, you thought of bringing Mr. Daniel Cassell. Ellis Cummings is a politician. Daniel E. Cassell is also a politician. Why didn't you bring in someone from the media, rather looking at politicians?
Well, so when we plan these activities and consider who the speakers will be, especially the guest speaker, there are a number of factors that go into the decisions we reach as to who will be the speaker. I think Mr. Cummings was the guest speaker, if I'm not mistaken, at our fifth fifth convention. Well, actually, fourth convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay.
So when we considered the speaker for this year, we thought about a number of things. We looked at a number of candidates, including Mr. Cassell and other candidates as well. And we ultimately decided on Mr. Cassell for a number of reasons. One, he is a politician. He is the vision bearer for one of the newest party in the country, the People's Liberation Party. And we felt that as we approach elections, it was important for our people to begin to understand what options these politicians offer. What are their goals and objectives? What are the policies? Are those policies any different significantly from what we currently have? So it was important for us to hear from him and hear what his policy prescriptions are in terms of moving Liberia forward. The second reason we considered Dr. Cassell was the fact that he has done some really good work. He's a humanitarian. He's been in most places trying to give assistance to folks in our country, and folks in our country are going through some really tough times. So if someone comes up, it doesn't matter what the politics are. If they come up and begin to assist people, I think we need to employ that. And so we wanted to give him that platform both to hear what his policy prescriptions are, and then to also say to him that we appreciate the humanitarian work he has been doing. And then I think the final reason we considered Dr. Cassell was, I think, just to say to folks who do similar work like he does right now, that ALJA, as an organization, has a platform that they can come to and speak. But mind you, when we do bring on folks who are are politicians or opposition, one of the things we've always done is extend an invitation to the government of Liberia to be represented at our convention, and they're always represented. And it just speaks to the impartiality that ALJA tried to exhibit, the middle road that we try to thread, because we say to folks all the time, we are an independent, objective organization. We lean, on no side whatsoever. So the government will be represented this year by the information minister, the Honorable Ledger Rennie. We've had the ambassador accredited to the United States, Ambassador George Patton, represented Liberian government in the past. We had the ambassador doing the Salif government, Ambassador Jeremiah Solonte, represent the Liberian government in the past. So we've always had the government represented at our events, and so we're looking forward to just a diverse view, diverse opinions coming from the different speakers who will mount the platform come this weekend.
How long
And
officials?
just to support, to support the president, you mentioned about what not we brought in someone from the media. Ledger Rennie is a CC media professional, BBC trained.
I was particularly talking about the guest
Also
speaker.
understand, besides the government side, he also understands the challenges our colleagues are faced with in the Liberian media as well. So I'm sure he would dive into someone that able to balance the equation.
Okay, that's great. Let's look at the tenure. For how long? How many years an elected officials serve? 2 years, 4 years, 10 years?
Yeah, our constitution requires that elected officers serve a 2-year term. So, once elected, you can serve for 2 years, and then so we hold elections every 2 years. The last elections were held in 2019. So everybody who was elected in 2019 are up for re-election this year. So if I'm re-elected this year, this will be my last tenure. I cannot go for more than 4 years as president of ALJA, and I will not be able to amend the constitution like they did in Guinea. I can't
I'm
do that.
telling you. There where I was
So
going
once
because
my tenure is over, I'm going to say goodbye to ALJA, and we'll have a new president.
all right, that's great. We have this morning. There where I was going because I don't want the situation in Guinea come with the association in the Americas. We have the president of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, Mr. Joe Mention, as our guest this morning, and the chairman of the convention, Mr. Peter Massaquoi. They join us this morning from the United States of America, and we're talking issues surrounding the 7th annual convention of the association. This morning, my name is AMOS Thomas Momo. Thanks so much for joining us. This is KMTV. Hoping you keep sharing as we go about talking those issues that matters about journalists in the world. Mr. Mason, I think you've been in the media back in Liberia, and you are in the Americas there, also following issues surrounding journalists in Liberia. Do you think we are proceeding in the right path if you want to compare journalists in Liberia and for those of you there in America? What could be a comparison? Do you think we need more training? Just to say, I don't want to be here in contempt, but I think we want to say something as it relates to that.
Certainly, having worked as a journalist, having worked in the media for many years prior to my departure, I can tell you for a fact that Liberian journalists do wonderful work. They're very resilient against enormous odds, enormous difficulties. They do their very very best. So generally, the media deserve a lot of credit. They continue to hold the government's feet to the fire. They continue to expose ills in our country, whether it's around the issues of corruption, whether it's around the issues of independence in the judiciary, whether it is putting the police to respect the rights of the citizenry or follow up on investigations of deaths that have been happening in the country. Look, journalists are doing a lot of work, even more so now that this explosion of social media, where there are a lot of different outlets providing information to a lot, come a long way in the country when it comes to profession. Okay, having said that, yeah, I can only add that with this explosion of different media entities in the country, it makes it harder for you to be able to have every go through the rudimentary requirement, the training that they need to go through to be able to do a really good work. So yes, training is needed. We need to build the capacity of our colleagues, because if journalists in the country are adequately trained, journalists in the country are following, all the ethical guidelines that are there for how to be able to conduct themselves and report in this profession, it makes our democracy even better. So one of the things we've been doing on this side, I mentioned that earlier. One of our responsibility we have as the Association of Liberian Journalists is to really assist our colleagues in building their capacity, making sure that they get the training necessary to be able to do the job properly. And I think once that is done, the journalism field in Liberia will be empowered, our colleagues will be empowered. The other thing I also want to add is that, the, the, the the journalists in the country are woefully underpaid. Many of the guys who work in the profession make very little, if anything at all. And our concern is in that scenario, when the guys are not making enough money, tendency is that they would so easily compromise the integrity, they so easily compromise, the profession in a way that it brings, the credibility into question, it brings the reporters into question, and it hinders, the democracy we want to strengthen, because, if the media is strong, the media is independent, the media is able to sustain itself, our democracy is so much better off for it. So that's one of the things too we talked about on Saturday, which is the morning of our General Assembly. We'll have a panel come together to discuss the theme of our convention, which is the quest for an of sustainable media. How do we ensure that the media in Liberia is ethical. That means it is following all those journalistic tenets that is important for the profession to be able to be respected in the country. How is the profession able to sustain itself when you talked about, the multiplicity of media, whether it's newspaper, radio station, television station, in this, entire influx of different media, how are they able to sustain themselves in the way that grant them credibility, and then are they able to remain independent? Independent media is important to the sustenance of the democracy we have. So we're bringing together colleagues of ours, veteran journalists and media watchers, to discuss very important topic. The president of the PEL, Mr. Charles Coffey, will be a part of this panel discussion. Mr. Peter Kokwe, who is the president of the West African Journalists Association, will also serve on the panel. We have Mr. Otello Gabla, the managing editor of the New Dawn newspaper. We have our own ALJA member, Mr. Joseph Batwa, who was a former managing editor at the newspaper in Monrovia. And then we have Ms. Reeves, who is a media watcher and a fellow at Yale University. They will come together to just brainstorm and give us their own prescription. How do we arrive at that media that is stronger, that is independent, that is ethical, that is able to sustain itself?
In terms of treatment, how are you guys being treated in the Americas? Is it different from the American journalists?
Well, I mean, I don't think it matter where you come from and where you work. I think every media person is held to the same standard. So no, the treatment is not any different from one journalist to the other, from one media entity to the next. No, obviously, as folks who come from Liberia, you have that extra hurdle. Most times you come, and Peter can attest, or other people who work in media can attest. You have to go through a lot of different hurdles. I don't think it matters whether you're a journalist. In the United States, there are a lot of institutional racism, the systemic racism. There's a lot of hurdles in your way, so you got to work extra hard. You got to put in the work. But I think if you determine your focus, it doesn't matter what profession you set for yourself, what in the journalism profession, or whatever that profession might be, you need to be able to work extra harder to achieve your desired result.
Thank you so much. I guess you have to run this morning. After this program, finally, what do you hope to achieve?
Well, once we're done with this convention, we intend to propose a number of things to our colleagues at this convention for our next term, our second term. And among those things we intend to propose, we include, just being more aggressive in our approach to our colleagues in the country, in Liberia, ensuring that hopefully this weekend we're able to raise a substantial amount of money that will empower this administration to be able to do more in terms of, some of the things we talked about, helping to build the capacity of our colleagues in Liberia, helping to meet some of the logistical needs that exist in the country when it comes to the profession, because many of the guys go around, they don't even have the basic logistics to be able to do their work. So these are some of the things we'll be talking about this weekend. I think ALJA will be more, as an organization, be more aggressive in just reaching out, being more impactful in lives of our colleagues, in the professional development of our colleagues. But more and more too, our voice as we go towards election, our voice as an advocacy organization will be even louder. We'll speak more loudly when it comes to the issue of corruption. We speak more loudly when it comes to ensuring that these elections that are coming up are free, they are fair, and they are transparent. We will speak more loudly when it comes to the issue of ensuring that they're independent in our judiciary. We'll talk more broadly and more loudly about ensuring that when people get missing in the country, when people get killed in the country, there's an investigation that comes to an ultimate conclusion that people are held to account, because too often there are investigations upon investigations, and we're not hearing any finality to this investigation. So all those issues are issues that matter to ALJA, because important to what we also do is to ensure that good governance is practiced in our country. So those are things that I will focus on as president for the next 2 years, trying to balance our advocacy with our outreach to our colleagues in the country.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And the chairman, from your posture, speak to the fact that everything is moving smoothly. I think the money is coming and your work is going well. Just to end up with you, you can give us the lineup for the week and then you give us your final word. Thank you so much for joining us.
Like I mentioned, I must thank you also. Tomorrow is our big day. Aside from our harbor media training today, I want to encourage everyone watching this broadcast, whether you are in Europe, in the United States, you can still be a big support to ALJA by making personal donations. You can send your money to Zelle, you can send your money to Cash App, you can contact the national president. It's all geared towards raising funds for our media drive. Also, for those wanting to attend this event, we have limited tickets available. You can contact us if you want to purchase a ticket at the door. There will be high rates, but you can make your way there. We have various prices for tickets. We have individual tickets that sold for $30 US. We have couple tickets for $75 US, and we have patrons tickets for $100 US. You can make your way. You can send your money to the chairpersons of Peter Massaquoi through Cash App or Zelle. You can contact the national president if you're in close contact with him. The same way, you don't have to worry about anything. We have the capability to receive money cashless if you don't have physical cash. So our doors will be open tomorrow as early as 7:30 p.m. So come and celebrate with us. We'll have food. We'll have great performances from some Liberian superstars in the U.S. So we'll not just be there talking.
Okay.
We'll mix it our little entertainment and jolly. So I want to wish everybody, especially our ALJA family and our colleagues in Liberia, happy convention 2021.
That's great. They say work without play make Jack a door board. So when you work, you need to play a little bit. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. The president, Mr. Joe Maxon, and the convention chairman, Mr. Peter Massaquoi, this morning for waking you guys up very early. I think it was around 5 o'clock a.m. your time, and you were able to join us and tell us, we as journalists in Liberia, those activities as it relates to your 7th annual convention. I'm so happy this morning to have you guys, and I'm bidding you a pleasant rest of the day in America. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you so much.
All right, you listen to them. They are from the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, the president, Mr. Joe Maxon, and the committee of the convention chairperson, Mr. Peter Massaquoi, join us this morning. They are celebrating having the 7th annual convention in the United States of America. They are Liberians, they are in America, and they are members of the Association of Liberian Journalists in America. They are doing a lot of great job managing to impact the lives of journalists in Liberia. They are also raising funds, like the president said, during the COVID period. They managed to identify with journalists back home. I think it's a tremendous effort so far, and we are bidding them success in their endeavors as they go about celebrating this convention and having new members or elected officials on board. We're hoping that they work in the interest of the association and all go well as they will be concluding on the 26th this convention. I'm humble. On Monday, we will be here this same time to discuss those issues that matters. We are managing to have Mr. Whitmore P., the former chairman of the United Party, former chairman of the People's Liberation Party, to come here and discuss issue of his dismissal. He will be our guest on Monday. Hopefully, we're managing all of our best and getting him on here on Monday. Until Monday, hoping you have a wonderful time. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Emmanuel Tatomukoli, Tombaju, Mac Eric Gama, you for the Fasu, my homeboy, Emmanuel Colley from Kakata City, Stanley Copo, and the rest of the guys who joined us this morning. I'm bidding you a pleasant rest of the Friday. Hoping you have a wonderful weekend. From Liberia, my name is AMOS Thomas Momo. Bye bye.